Hello and welcome everyone to Wayne Prophet Court in Turner Gymnasium on the University of Lynchburg campus for this NCAA Division III men's volleyball matchup. My name is Ethan Moronsky, and to my left is my good buddy and colleague Kyle Haney, and we are here to bring you an awesome matchup between two teams that are working pretty hot, and the national anthem is about to start, so we are getting cut off a little bit, but we'll bring you all the details when we get back here on LHSN.
Think a private education is too expensive? Think again. At the University of Lynchburg, you can get a personalized education for the cost of a state school. If you're commuting and you get our top scholarships, you could pay much less. And you get all that without the hassle of giant lecture halls. Our faculty know your name here and do more than just teach. You might even do research together and plan out your next career moves.
Welcome back on LHSN. We apologize for that quick intermission for the national anthem, but we are back here again. NCAA Division III men's volleyball matchup. It's exciting. Both these teams are red hot. Roanoke on a 6-game win streak, and Lynchburg, they've won 4 of their last 5. Kyle Haney, my partner in crime today. There's an elephant in the room, Kyle. There's an elephant in every single time we broadcast men's volleyball here. Obviously, first time playing this team, first year in program history. Kyle, what do you think going into this one?
Well, great point by you. A lot of firsts this year for Lynchburg. Roanoke is in their 3rd full season. These teams did meet in a little get-together in the fall, little play date there that the NCAA gives the guys. So a little bit of familiarity there. Saw some guys from each team talking to each other before the game. So some familiarity there, but you're right. What to expect, hard to know. A couple common opponents this year. Roanoke has beaten EMU and Randolph. Lynchburg lost to those two teams, and that's a big difference in the record, especially that ODAC record. Roanoke 4-1, Lynchburg 2-4, but that could turn around today. This is an ODAC matchup, Ethan, as you see some stats on our screen, and noteworthy, we got a 3-game day today inside Turner. We'll touch on the other 2 games coming up. Each team is going to play 2, and then Bethany is the 3rd wheel in this little Saturday triple play.
Yeah, it's obviously really exciting when you get one volleyball matchup, but when you get 3 in one day, we've had it a couple times so far this spring season, and that just makes it so much more exciting because we get to be on here together for an even longer time, and it's always fun working with you, Kyle. But I mean, obviously, right there at the bottom, the record's 13-7 for the Roanoke Maroons and 8-8 for Lynchburg. Again, first season, so it kind of makes every single game exciting because you really look forward to how much better this Lynchburg team is getting every single game. We know it's a brand new team. Well, obviously, Coach Ryan Turner, this is his first year in the program, but this is not his first year coaching for the Hornets. Obviously, we know we go on to the fall season. Coach Ryan Turner is the assistant women's volleyball head coach, so it's really exciting to see how well this team matches up every single game, knowing that they're going to get better, they're going to gel more every single game. So it's really exciting every single time we come on the Wayne Prophet Court for men's volleyball.
Yeah, some noticeable improvement for Lynchburg as the year is going on. I've got the starters here. Ethan, if you want me to run those down.
Ahead,
plus,
man.
We've got some players to watch. But yeah, let me give you the starters real quick. First for Roanoke, Colin Mendoza, Andre Gates, Michael Cummins, Cade Kinney, Jackson Rutkowski, and Tegan Cole are the official starters. We'll see what the rotation is to begin for the Maroons. And then for Lynchburg, their starters will be Mason Kenna, Nick Redding, Stefan Kapitanov, Bryce Jackson, Jeremiah Costello, and Miller Varley will do the setting for Lynchburg.
Yeah, let's go back to that Roanoke side. Their player to watch, number 1, Jackson Rutkowski. We talked about Earlier, Kyle, you said there's another ski on the court from Catonsville, Maryland. Went to Mount St. for previous school, so it's going to be really exciting to see how he fares against this Hornet defense and offense.
Yeah, Jackson Rutkowski is the leading attack man for this squad, 2.96 kills per set. He also shares the team lead in aces per set at 0.28.
Yeah, doing a fantastic job, and there it is, team leader in kills with 204. Reached that 600 career kills last night. We know Roanoke played last night, won 3-0, so really good momentum going into this one. And then if you look on the other side of our player to watch, we got Mason Kenna, number 15 from Charlotte, North Carolina, and it's a quick point for the Maroons as an ace goes awry, and another serving error for Lynchburg. And I say another, it's the first one of the game, but if you go up against that code red matchup in Randolph, going back into the past, and obviously I'm not a big fan of going into the past because you lose one game, you want to forget about it, but really the serving errors was really the difference maker in that one, and Lynchburg giving them pretty much almost a set's worth of points in the serving errors column.
Yeah, for Lynchburg, 1.6 aces per set, 1.4 errors per set. So Lynchburg getting more aces than errors, but yeah, it seems like when you start running into trouble on the service line, it's just hard to get it back. It's hard to dial down and go to your B or your C serve, as we see Jeremiah Costello let a hard one rip that'll bounce off the top of the tape and be an error.
If you do want to take the positives out of it, like we saw right there, Costello, people like him, they're not afraid to put some heat behind their serves, and so you can take some positives out of it, but you got to put a little bit of control under that and be able to get it on the other side, because that is just such a momentum killer. It's a huge point for Lynchburg. It's 3-2 in favor of the Maroons as of right now, and we've got Heath Atkins checking in, most likely going to the service line. We know that's one of his main jobs on this team. He loves going to that service line and launching it across. And we're going to see him send it over to the Maroon side.
Yeah, Atkins is 6th in the ODAC in aces per set, Ethan.
Yeah, a lot of talent at the service line, and that one's blocked by Lynchburg. Going to head out of bounds, though, so it will be point Roanoke. And, you know, there's a lot of history between these two schools when you really look at every single sport. It's like this is just a huge rivalry. Obviously, not quite as big as the Randolph one, I would say, in my opinion. Obviously, Randolph being 15 minutes down the road, but Roanoke, they're really only an hour away. So the rivalry between the Hornets and the Maroons, I think it's probably the biggest one of the biggest ones in the ODAC.
Yeah, I think so too. A very traditional rivalry, of course, with Randolph. You know, they didn't go co-ed until early 2000s there. First decade of the 2000s, so you didn't quite have that same rivalry on the men's side, and still Randolph without some of those men's sports, but they've got men's volleyball, and so does Roanoke and Lynchburg, and we're going to see the Maroons send a couple reinforcements in off of their bench. It looks like it's going to be Jared Berggren to come in and serve for the Maroons. Pardon me, CJ Kingston, number 2 for Roanoke College.
Well, like you said earlier, it's nice to see these programs adding all these new sports, because one, it adds that much competition in the ODAC, and then 2, it allows us to be out here calling these games. And I mean, it's like every single point for men's volleyball that I've seen so far for any team is just so exciting. You never really know what's going to happen. So being able to do men's volleyball and having the privilege of being able to call games with Kyle Haney, it's always so exciting.
Oh, it's a blast. Mason Kenna to serve. He was one of our players to watch earlier, as Bryce Jackson got a really nice put down there on the previous one. Lynchburg could tie on this serve.
We're going to get a free ball here. Esqueda sends it too far. Now they're going to say they're caught a tip at the net, and it's going to be point Lynchburg, tied up at 5 in set number 1. Mason Kenna going to head back to the serving line, maybe get a little bit of a run here for the Hornets. And really, that was one thing the last time that the Hornets were in Turner Gymnasium, is that they kind of let Randolph have too much momentum, and the amount of runs that they went on, it was a close matchup after that first set. Again, first set, Lynchburg kind of took off and didn't look back. And then every single point after that was close, and Randolph took the next 3 sets after that. So we're going to have to see how well this Lynchburg squad does and how much improvement they have. It's a really nice job from Kinston to be able to save that one, but not going to be able to keep that one alive in another tie game, or excuse me, tie set at 6 between the Maroons and the Hornets.
Yeah, Jeremiah Costello with another fantastic play there for Lynchburg.
The beauty of Costello is that he's got so much in his arsenal. He's got power behind his kills, and he can put placement on it too, as Jackson finds an ace there in the back of the Maroons court. Really in no man's land. Nobody was going to be able to get to that. And Lynchburg going to take the lead here now at 7-6. Bryce Jackson serving again. Roanoke, kill opportunity sent back their side. They're going to get another chance. Great job from the Hornets to be able to keep that one alive. Bryce Jackson, great job there. And not going to be able to hold this one up as the Maroons tie it up at 7. A really nice job from Michael Cummins.
Michael Cummins is another guy like number 1 Jackson Rutkowski, who's over the 600 kill mark. So he's a proven competitor for Roanoke, and basically that's your options 1 and 2, Rutkowski and Cummins. No disrespect to the rest of the lineup, but those will be 2 to watch for Roanoke offensively.
Yeah, there's a lot of people on both teams that we're going to be watching. Obviously, we've seen Costello get his hands on the ball a couple times in this first set, but we know we're going to be looking at a majority of this team. And one thing that you really want to notice is that the depth that this Lynchburg team has after just the first year of recruiting. I mean, you look at the size of their bench to really everybody else that they're playing, and Roanoke's got about 6 guys on their side, and there's almost 10 on the sidelines for Lynchburg. So to be able to have that depth just after your first recruiting class and the amount of talent that you already have, it's got to be exciting for Coach Ryan Turner.
Yeah, big rosters. Lynchburg played a lot of different faces in the 3-0 win down in Danville against Avert on Wednesday. Lynchburg, a 3-0 sweep there. All of Lynchburg's wins this season are sweeps. There's an overpass that Michael Cummins handles no problem there, and Roanoke will jump back in front 9-8.
Yeah, it looked like that dig just went away from Berardo, went right back to that Roanoke side, and a really good job being able to send that one back home to give your team the lead again. And that's really been the moral of the story so far for this Lynchburg team, is these minor communication errors, and obviously the serving errors are huge, being able to limit those. As Roanoke sends that one a little far, but going back to Lynchburg, it's those minor mistakes. But when this is your first year in a program, you're going to have mistakes like that. It's really, we talk about it every single broadcast with men's volleyball with this Hornets team, is that every single game is a learning point, and not just every single game, but every single set, really. This team is figuring out how to gel with each other. We know no matter what the record or what the score of the game is in any set, this team always has high morale, and they're always really going to give you energy. So that's exciting if you're any volleyball fan. But this Lynchburg team, there's some minor things that they're going to have to fix, but that'll come in time for a first-year program.
Yeah, building every set, like you said, every single play, you can learn something. Probably should try to learn something. Occasionally, you just got to try to quiet the mind and shut that down and get after it. Heath Atkins serving again for Lynchburg. They thought they had one blocked there, but number 24, Cade Kinney, slides it through for the point, and Roanoke leading again. What's really a back-and-forth battle here. Ski, this is a good matchup.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a great matchup if you're not just a Hornet or a Maroons fan, but if you're any volleyball fan, this is so far a great match between the two teams and a great set one. Maroons up 11-10. Lynchburg going to send this one. It's going to be blocked, but out of bounds, so it's going to be point Lynchburg, and it's a dogfight down there, Kyle. And like you said, this is really the exciting matchups that you're going to go through. Is Nick Redding going to head to the service line. Tied at 11. Sends it over Roanoke. Berardo couldn't get complete handful on that one, and it's going to go out for a Roanoke point as they take the lead once again. And we see CJ Kinston head to the line again.
Yeah, both teams have got their serving specialist that comes in when that rotation for the middle blocker goes back to serve. So we see that with Heath Atkins for Lynchburg, and it looks like CJ Kingston is the man for Roanoke.
One looked like it might have gone out on that Redding hit. And a little misplay on that dig, and point Lynchburg. And that's really the communication part of that, is when Reading hit that one towards that back line, we heard a couple people from that Roanoke side yell that it was going out, but that's that split-second reaction time, and when it's right at you, there's not really much you can do, as that one goes way over the line. Mason Kenna.
We were both going to say it there.
Yeah.
Mason Kenna just a little too aggressive on that one. And the other thing is, you go with that high toss on the serve, and it does require a lot of accuracy to get the toss the way you want it, to be able to jump into it perfectly. Roanoke by 1 again. Nice touch right there up front from Bryce Jackson.
Yeah, really nice placement, and that's that arsenal we've been talking about that a lot of these Hornets have in there. Well, again, Arsenal, there's so much that they could do, and there's so much talent on this team for such a young squad. It's really, there's so much to look forward to if you're Coach Turner. As Jackson going to send this one to the Maroons, and again, another serving error. And what has been killing this team so far this season.
Right, but how much aggressiveness, are you willing to pay the price for when you can't be accurate with the serve? And I think, again, Ryan Turner and his coaching staff, they're okay with the serving right now as it stands. How tough it is. You see a really tough serve there from the Maroons. Number 22, Connor Tyson, letting it rip back there from the line.
Well, what's so important about the serve is obviously you get the ball right after you get a point, and that serve kind of sets the tone for a run that you could possibly have, and that's why it's so important in these matchups, as that one is sent into the net. And we were talking about the height of how high they throw the ball, and that one's getting a little close to the rafters.
Yeah.
I wonder what the ruling would be if it does hit that top roof, and we'll get into the rafters, I'm sure, plenty in this matchup. It seems like every single game that we get to broadcast, whether it's men's or women's, a ball finds itself up there.
Overpass. Look at Lynchburg, really good at the net right there. Very nice.
And there's that aggressiveness. And from Kapitanov, that's a great play. I mean, both teams went up for that. It was a little bit of a juggle at the net. Lynchburg coming away with it in another tie game. And again, this is an important serve for Lynchburg. They keep it in this time. And a nice job from Roanoke. Number 13, Colin Mendoza, sending that one right towards the Hornets, not straying away. Obviously, you want to find that open space, but if you're confident enough in how hard you can hit it and how well you can place it, you don't need to hit it into no man's land.
Yeah, right in front of Miller Varley, the setter for Lynchburg. And you saw Coach Ryan Turner hop up, and maybe just a little bit of a coaching piece there on the defensive coverage, where to be. Roanoke by 1. Really good back and forth set.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a fun one. And the thing about Coach Ryan Turner is no matter if you're up or down, Coach Ryan Turner, he's always going to have that smile on his face, or he's always going to be up in spirits, and he's not afraid to coach up his team, obviously being the head coach, and he's got a lot of experience with the man right next to him, Coach Cardoza, the head coach of the women's volleyball team. So these two, you could almost say that these two are the volleyball dynamic duo here at Lynchburg.
I totally agree. Oh, what a block. What a block there for Lynchburg. That was big. Nick Redding, the tall wall. Lynchburg leads again by 1.
Nick Redding, our first ODAC Defensive Player of the Week. Just right before that Randolph matchup, that day actually got the award, I believe. And that's exactly why right there, and a really nice job from Colin Mendoza to be able to send that one towards the Lynchburg side, open space, nobody around. And that's going to be a free point pretty much every day of the week for Mendoza. And again, that's called that internal clock, and knowing where you are on the court, and also knowing where the other players are on the court. And that's honestly, while not even looking at them, as Mason Kenna, going to give Lynchburg back the lead. But going back to that internal clock, I know for baseball it's huge to have an internal clock, know how the game's going, know where you're at, knowing what to do with the ball. But in volleyball, it's just as big, Kyle.
Oh, so important, that feel and knowing when and where to be, how quickly to do it. As Lynchburg leads by 1 again. Heath Atkins looked like he took a little something off that, and that's what happens when you do have a slightly softer serve. Roanoke can get in system and use their talented offense and really just bang away on you. So we're tied again, back and forth again. Colin Mendoza to serve for Roanoke.
We'll see Berardo step back in for the Hornets. Mendoza, we've called his name a couple times in this one. Another soft serve. Esqueda going to send this one from the back line, and it's going to be a little too far. Almost caught that line, but Maroons going to take the lead here. We're almost at the 20 mark in the first set. And I feel like that's a little bit of a mental hump, is getting to that 20 mark in every set kind of gives you that mental lead, as that one is blocked, and a really nice job for the Hornets to keep that one up. And they're going to call it point. Lynchburg, they had a little scuffle at the top of the net. Looked like they both kind of had that at the same time. They went out on the Roanoke side, but they're going to call it Lynchburg point.
Yeah, I believe it was Miller Varley there with that swipe move. Might have been Bryce Jackson, but instead of trying to go straight back across the net, you could see him kind of side swipe the ball. That's a high-level play, and it causes it to spin off your opponent's hands and wrist and then out of bounds. So really nice, and there's the strong serve. Lynchburg rolling. They'll win that race to 20 battle as the Hornets are on top 20-19.
Really nice job from Nick Redding, staying at the service line. We see a lot of talent on this Lynchburg team and the Roanoke squad. This is Roanoke's third year as a program, as Redding sends that one a little too far to the far end of the court. It'll be tied at 20 in this first set. I mean, this is just what you love to see as a volleyball fan. You know that, again, this is Roanoke's third season, Lynchburg's first season. A lot of competitiveness in the ODAC, no matter what sport or what team that we're looking at. As Maroons going to have their own serving error. Give Lynchburg back the lead at 21-20 here in set number one. Mason Kenna going to step up at the line. There's that high toss again. Sends it over. A little bit of a softer serve. You know it is crunch time, as that one going to be a Lynchburg point. Really nice job keeping that one alive. Maybe a little bit of a run here for the Hornets. 22-20, and a timeout is going to be called for Roanoke, and it is crunch time here on Wayne Prophet Court. It is 22-20 in the first set in favor of the Hornets here on LHSN.
Football has taught me a lot throughout my life. It's definitely had a huge imprint on who I am as a person. Competing at a Division III level created that opportunity for me to go to college. Not only was I the first one in my family to graduate college, but I was really the first one to even go. Being the first one, I'm breaking that cycle, and now that I've graduated, I'm not sure what's the next step, but I know I have a lot of doors open. And a lot of those are open because I played football and ran track here at Otterbein.
Lynchburg is all about you, your ideas, and your goals. We've got one professor for every 10 students, so you can get all the support you need. In the classroom, in the lab, or in nature, you'll learn by putting yourself out there, and we're right there with you.
Set number one in crunch time. It is 22-20 in favor of the University of Lynchburg Hornets. Kenna going to send this one across, and it's going to hit the top of the net. And really, obviously, first timeout of the match, and that shows you how important it is. And if you want to put it in football terms, would you really call it icing the other team, kind of slowing the game down?
Yeah, I think slowing it down a little bit, giving your guys a chance to regroup. You refocus there. My goodness, Bryce Jackson straight down with the hammer. 23-21, Lynchburg by 2.
Just a perfect setup by Varley, and another perfect hit by Bryce Jackson as he heads to the line. 2 points away from set number one for the Hornets. The clapping continues. Jackson going to send this one. Another high toss hits the top of the net. Going to be dug out by Roanoke. And a block for Lynchburg, but it goes into their own side of the net. Roanoke showing a little bit of fight. Obviously, the set's not over. Got to win by 2. Got to get to 25, win by 2. If you don't win by 2, it just keeps going, and that's really, if you think about it, it's extra innings in baseball. It's free volleyball that you're seeing there.
Yeah, it's such a fun element of our game here as we get a pretty good rally developing. My goodness, solo stuff up front. Stefan Kapitanov, beautiful. Lynchburg's within 1.
Yeah, Kapitanov, he's got a lot of athleticism as it is set point for Lynchburg, and we'll get into Kapitanov later as it's going to be another timeout for Roanoke. We'll stay here as we just went on our own little break. 24-22, it is set point for Lynchburg. And, I said we were going to talk about Kapitanov later because there's so much volleyball today, but we can talk about him now. He's got so much athleticism. Obviously, he's the goalie for that Lynchburg men's soccer team, so being able to have that two-sport athlete on your team, and there are a bunch here on the campus of Lynchburg. Obviously, you go to that women's side, you've got Bree Spainhour, who's one of the star players on the women's volleyball team and one of the star players on the women's basketball team. So there's a ton of athleticism here in Lynchburg, and just the men's volleyball team is adding on to it. First-year program. And speaking of first-year programs, next year, I believe we're adding wrestling. So that'll be a fun one. And
I'm excited about that.
That's going to be awesome. Don Waters, our athletic director, is doing a fantastic job adding sports to this Lynchburg culture. As just a couple of years ago, it was beach volleyball that got added. And now men's volleyball this year and wrestling next year. Set point for Lynchburg. Roanoke going to try and come back and keep it close. Tipped up, kept alive by Kenna. And a great job by Lynchburg, and that's the rafters taken into account there. Gerardo keeping that one alive for the Hornets. Esqueda trying to be able to get that one over. It's going to be blocked, and it's going to go out of bounds as set number 1 goes in favor of the first-year team, the Lynchburg Hornets. It was back and forth the entire time. Kyle, what are some takeaways for set number 1?
Well, just go back to that final point there. Mason Kenna with an outstanding move to keep the ball alive on the first pass. Kind of got slowed down and deflected by the block up front, but he stayed with it. Lynchburg ends up getting the point there. That's hard fought. Well, Lynchburg blocking well in general. I mean, we saw that. They're really good at the net today. Serving for Lynchburg, as you said, probably a few too many errors, but overall I think they're serving tough. It's leading to some opportunities. Kenna was great. Nick Redding was great. Jeremiah Costello had some kills in there. Bryce Jackson, I mean, he leads the conference in hitting percentage for a reason. We saw that up front as well. He's so good with his touch. Overall, a fantastic first set. Job's not finished, though, and Roanoke's going to have some fight in their squad as well. How much did playing last night take out of the Maroons? You're playing 2 matches in less than 24 hours. They're actually going to end up playing 3 in 24 hours. So keep an eye on the legs and the freshness for Roanoke.
A lot of names to be called. It was a dogfight out there in set number 1, and now set number 2 is getting ready to commence right after we come back from a commercial break. Lynchburg up 1-0 in sets over the Roanoke Maroons here on the Lynchburg Hornets Sports Network.
Look what you're missing!
Welcome back to LHSN. The Hornets are up 1-0, and let's jump right into it. And let's talk about the coaching staff for the Hornets and the Maroons. Starting off with the Hornets, let's go to Coach Ryan Turner. Obviously his first year as the head coach for the Hornets, first year as a program, but it's not his first time that he's in the coaching role. As you see right there, assistant women's volleyball coach. And you see right there on the left side, the head coach of the volleyball team, or the women's volleyball team, excuse me, Coach Cardozo. We talked about it in the first set. This is really a dynamic duo of coaching staff.
And then you can get the treacherous trio there with Thomas Chandler,
Yeah,
the young guy in the mix. He is all three guys just so much fun to talk to about life and volleyball. And yeah, I mean, they really get it. They're all kind of working together, and they all help out on the beach side as well. So it's working right now for Lynchburg. I think in some places there's a bit more separation between the teams, men's, women's, beach. But here on Lakeside Drive, it appears to be working pretty nicely.
Yeah, absolutely. And really, the morale and the energy in that coaching staff is so big. I was working the other day in the LHSN office, and Coach Ryan Turner came in to actually play Mario Kart. So, and just to have a talk with the guys, the culture that we have really all around campus is just so great. I mean, the coaches love coming in and just having a chat with really anybody, and it doesn't just have to be the LHSN crew. It could be anybody in the halls. They're not afraid to have conversations. The culture and spirits are high here.
Yeah,
in the University of Lynchburg.
We just got a visit from the president, Allison Morrison Shetler, who is really a fixture at almost every athletic event that she can make it to. She's in the house. We're in set 2. We're tied 1-1. How about Lynchburg offensively in set 1? Ski swinging it at 6-6-7. That is really good. 16 terminations with only 2 errors for Lynchburg offensively. So they have been efficient on that side.
Yeah, they look really confident out there. It almost looks like they're going up for these balls, saying, we've got nothing to lose. Let's just send this one to the other side. Let's force them to make mistakes. And so far, it paid off in the first set. Again, it was a dogfight. It was really close the entire time. And if you're the Roanoke Maroons, you kind of got to slow the game down a little bit. You know that this Hornet team is very young and very inexperienced when it comes to long sets. And there it is right there. I mean, there's the inexperience there. As a little bit of a mix-up in communication as the Hornets take a 2-point lead in set number 2, 3-1 in favor of the Maroons.
Yeah, also Rafters got involved there too, so a couple of things that we've talked about. Braden Berardo is wearing the white jersey as the libero for Lynchburg today. The defensive specialist. Looks like Caden Noble is the libero for Roanoke. Another great serve. Back-to-back tough serves, and that's again what the hard serving, tough serving will do. Michael Cummins at the service line there. He and Rutkowski were tied with the team lead in aces before the day started.
Yeah, the serve really, I mean, obviously it sets the tone for the rally that you could possibly have, but if you get that serving ace, it almost sets the tone for the next couple points if you go on a run, and then on the opposite end, if you get that error, it sets the tone for the other team. As a timeout is called by Coach Ryan Turner. And we're going to keep it here. It's young in this set number 2. Roanoke up 5-1. They came out firing in set number 2, and we know we're going back to that Lynchburg home game against Randolph, that code red matchup. We know Lynchburg came out set number 1 firing, and they didn't look back as they pretty much dominated the entire way through set number 1, but the script immediately flipped as Randolph came out and won the next 3 sets. So the Hornets going to try and snuff out any attempt for the Hornets to, it's not a sweep, obviously, if Roanoke were to win the next 3 sets, but it's definitely something that you look forward to doing if you're on the Maroon side.
Yeah, Lynchburg, interestingly enough, all of their wins are sweeps this year. They've never won in 4 or 5 sets. They do have a couple losses where they won the first set. In addition to that Randolph game you're talking about on February 26th, Lynchburg also took set 1 against Regent, and then it ended up falling in 5. So back to job's not done, and you get another ace there, uncorked by Michael Cummins. He's got 3 in the set already, and not the way Lynchburg wanted to come out of that timeout situation by giving up another ace.
Maroons doing a great job coming out of the set. out of set number 1, and a great job coming out of timeouts. So that one sent back to the Maroon side off of that dig. Berardo keeping that one alive.
Kapitanov got in the net there, I believe. Or it may have been Nick Redding, but somebody from Lynchburg was in the net over the line there. So another, don't know if you call that an unforced error or not, but right now Roanoke does have the momentum.
Yes, 6-point advantage for the Maroons. They've got everything going right for them right now. Kapitanov, no, Redding going to send that one across. Takes a touch at the net and falls onto the Roanoke side. Lynchburg getting their second point of set number 2. Still down by 5, some work to do early in this one.
Much better pass from Berardo there, the serve receive. That was very confident, very composed, on target, and it leads to determination. And then there you go, Lynchburg will give it right back as Jeremiah Costello let one fly with the right arm.
That's really been the story of the Hornets the last couple games so far. Serving errors obviously being a killer for this team. I do like the aggressiveness, but the placement's got to be there. Like we said, serving sets the tone. A really nice job from Roanoke to keep that one alive. Look, goes into the rafters, and too many hits for the Maroons. Lynchburg gets point number 3, still down by 5. Roanoke 8, Lynchburg 3 in set number 2. We're going to see Heath Atkins step up and sub in, go to the serving line.
Good blocking up front here for Lynchburg with Jackson, Redding, and Mason Kenna. Heath Atkins can't get that one over, so you get a change coming in really quick with Kapitanov coming back out.
Berardo also going to step in, that libero, defensive specialist. We're going to see a little bit of a mix-up on the substitution.
Yeah, I think the official just wasn't ready yet. Kind of like basketball, the officials have to let you in the game. You can't just sprint out there, and so they want to make sure all those changes get recorded at the scorer's table. So a little minor housekeeping, and we're ready to go again. Maroons by 6.
CJ Kingston at the serving line, a high toss up, sends it over, just gets over the net. There's Redding, sends that one across, not going to be able to keep that one alive. Keaton Noble couldn't dig that one up. It'll be point Lynchburg. They've still got some work to do. You got to go on a little bit of a run here, and that's really the story of any volleyball game. It's what team can get a large bit of momentum and get point after point after point. That one sent towards Roanoke from the back line, kept alive by Skeda. Redding from the back, from the near side, and Jackson can't keep that one alive. I like the aggressiveness, really good job sending it back. It looked like Roanoke was on the back foot, but just couldn't keep it in the court, and it'll be point Roanoke.
Yeah, Jackson threw the hand up after that one, kind of the my bad gesture, just a little wayward off the touch.
Redding just gonna have to send a free ball. It's blocked by Roanoke, so it's gonna stay on Lynchburg's side. Redding sends that one across into a block, but it's gonna be point Lynchburg. It looks like they're looking for Redding. They're looking that far side of the court. Excuse me, that was Kenna who got that. So we'll take back that comment. Mason Kenna looks good. Everybody looks good on this Hornet roster and the Roanoke roster. Honestly, everybody seems to be doing well. Just some minor communication, some serving errors. As Lynchburg going to keep this one alive. Redding going to send it to the near side. It'll go out of bounds. And Roanoke going to keep a 6-point lead, 11-5 in set number 2.
Yeah, Roanoke, you mentioned everybody looking good. They're perfect on the hitting percentage so far with no attacking errors. It's just 3 terminations for Roanoke, but again, no errors, so they're striking it well up front. Speaking of striking it well, Bryce Jackson, there's that hammer again going straight down. It's almost undefendable with his height combined with the vert. He can really get high and get on top of that ball.
A great athlete, great volleyball player. Lynchburg down by 5. He's now at the serving line. Going to send it across to the Maroons. See a little bit of a stare down after a couple of these points. And I'm sure they've got nothing but nice words to say to the other team. Obviously, we talked about it at the beginning of the broadcast, how these two schools in the majority of the sports, they're big rivals. I know in baseball, definitely a huge rival matchup. You always look forward to those doubleheaders on the weekends. So maybe a little bit of words from both teams. As Roanoke, Tegan Cole sends this one to Lynchburg. It's going to go back to the Maroon side. A really great job from Varley to keep that one alive. It heads into the rafters. Coach Cardoza trying to get out of the way. And that's really what we talked about earlier. There's nothing but high energy and a great morale system that this coaching staff has. As they're down by 7, but there's nothing but happy thoughts coming down the sideline as Kapitanov messing around with Coach Cardoza.
Yeah, a little half hug there. That was a lot of fun. It would have been nice to see Kevin kind of bail out and go straight backwards, but then the chair might be in the way.
Yeah, the legs poking up.
Right.
Don't want to get anybody injured.
Not a real great answer right there. It was nice by Miller Varley on that previous play, the setter, to get up and win that net joust. And now another chance for Lynchburg to maybe grab some momentum, Ski.
Roanoke going to send a free ball towards Lynchburg, a reset. Redding, a really nice job, a tip at the net. Stays on Roanoke's side, and it'll be point Lynchburg. Kind of staying around that 5-point, 6-point lead for Roanoke. Lynchburg going to have to be able to get over that hump, as we're going to get a little stoppage in play. Some trouble with the spare volleyballs on the side of the court. It's all good. Varley going to send this one to the Maroons. And hit right into the net. Cade Kine can't keep that one alive. And maybe this is what the Hornets need here in set number 2.
We know Lynchburg has been blocking well, so part of what happens is, as an attacker, you think you have to be perfect. You see that block pressed pretty tight to the net, so then you end up making a mistake on your own, and the set could have been slightly off. Roanoke's going to answer with a point there, and the Maroons back on top 14-9. Set number 2, Lynchburg did take set 1. They won that race to 20. 2019 was the score in set 1, and then Lynchburg a really good run to end it.
Really nice job by Kapitanov, and a nice set by Varley. And point Lynchburg, I mean, those are really clinical points that you have. And a nice easy set right above that net. And I mean, that's going to be a point almost every single time. You get the most power on that. You can get on top of it a little more to send it right down, as Esqueda sends it across from the serve. And a really nice job from Cade Kinney. I got the name wrong the first time. Cade Kinney. Fantastic job from him, being able to keep that 5-point lead. Lynchburg got to find a way to get over that hump, keep some momentum here in set 2, 15-10 in favor of the Maroons. Set by Varley. Kenna going to send it too far. Or they're going to say it got a tip at the net, and it'll be point Lynchburg.
Yeah, I don't know if he was targeting the high hands or not. Maybe just trying to swing hard on it, but got a fingertip in there. Good call by the officials. That's one at the higher levels that gets reviewed a lot, that touch, no touch call. Lynchburg had that one go their way. Hornets are within 4 now, as Kapitanov to serve. He doesn't normally serve much. Usually that's Heath Atkins that'll come in, but gonna deal an ace.
Stefan Kapitanov getting his ace. What a way. I mean, that was almost the opposite of a commentator's curse, Kyle.
Yeah, he's got one ace on the season coming into it, so he doubled the total right there with 2 now. But yeah, typically we've seen Heath Atkins come in and serve in these spots, but Lynchburg's gonna stay with Steph right now. Very cool.
Cutting that lead down to 3. Roanoke gonna send it, and that'll be Sam Pennington, our player to watch. Or excuse me, not our player to watch, but Jackson. You know, it is Jackson Rutkowski.
Yeah, it was our player to watch for sure. Yeah, and we haven't called his name too much. So Lynchburg doing a good job with the defensive blocking on Rutkowski. He only got 3 kills last night. I wonder if he's maybe not 100%, maybe not playing as much.
Yeah, those are the things that are kind of, you never really know. As a nice point by Bryce Jackson to send that one into no man's land. And those are the things that you never really know what's going on with some players on the away teams when they come in here. You might get some information from the coaching staff, but really you're never going to know, as Lynchburg cuts the lead down to 3 again.
Well, and so often the coach doesn't want to give too much away, as Bryce Jackson will win another net joust. Jackson really getting it done in the middle for Lynchburg. 6'5", and it's got that pogo stick, kind of springy kind of a jumper where he doesn't really have to load up. He can get high really quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. And going back to Rutkowski, and that's the beauty of this sport. As Roanoke going to get point number 17, and that's the beauty of this sport, is other players around you. You can have some star players, but other players around you, they're going to step up when they need to, and that's the beauty of having depth and a lot of great players on this squad. There's Rutkowski sending it from the serving line. Farley set. A really nice job from Mason Kenna. It'll be point Lynchburg, cutting the lead down to 2. We said it earlier, they were stuck at around 6 to 5 point deficit, and now they've cut it down to 2. And we're really getting close to that crunch time. Roanoke 3 points from that 20 mark. And these are the most important times in sets. As Kenna sends it across Lynchburg, Rutkowski, a rare error from Jackson Rutkowski, the junior from Catonsville, Maryland. And Hornets are only down by 1, and these are the runs that we talk about. They're so important in getting over that hump. And now they're only down by 1. Kenna going to stay at the line.
Yeah, this is strong from Lynchburg here in set number 2. It was not a fantastic start in this set for the Hornets. They could tie it right here, and they will.
Michael Cummins sends that one too far. Tied up at 17. It was all Roanoke in the first half of this set. Started off up 6 to 1, and now we're tied at 17. And it all starts from Kenna at the serving line, giving his team a chance. As that one, another great serve. Cummins gonna poke that one over. Nobody can get on the end of it. A nice dive from Costello, and can't get to it. Roanoke gonna retain that lead at 18 to 17.
Really good there from Cummins, understanding where the blocking is going to be and where the donut in that defense will be. And a perfect tip, little teardrop over the wall.
Connor Tyson going to be the one to send this one across the court. Berardo going to be able to save that one. Costello, I get that name. They sound very similar, but that one going to be blocked. Really great job from this front line so far today. And a really great job from Nick Redding. Exactly why he was the Defensive Player of the Week a couple weeks ago, showing off some of that front line magic that he can give this Lynchburg team. Bryce Jackson going to send this one cross court. Great job to be able to keep that one alive. Tried to get a little quick move from Mendoza and to just send it down. It looked like he saw Kapitanov as we get a timeout from the Maroons. It looked like he saw Kapitanov jump up, and obviously that's that internal clock, and it looked like he just tried to get it low on him to make it so Kapitanov couldn't block that on Roanoke's side, and he kept it to keep it on Lynchburg's side, but send it in the net. We're going to keep it here as, again, it's crunch time, 19 to 18 in favor of the Hornets. Hornets up 1-0 in sets. So really great job from this Hornets team to come back. Again, it was all Roanoke in the first half of this set, but a fantastic job from people like Nick Redding, Jeremiah Costello, and Bryce Jackson. And I mean, there's just too many names to point out. They've done a great job coming back, and now they have a lead here in set number 2.
Yeah, what a fight back from Lynchburg here. I think a good timeout for Roanoke. You almost have to take the timeout there when you finally surrender the lead. But Lynchburg, as a team in the match, is hitting 6-4-9. Really good there. 28 terminations with only 4 errors. Roanoke, pretty good team percentage, only 18 kills. Lynchburg's got, looks like 4.5 blocks, 3.5 total blocks, pardon me, 8 digs for Lynchburg. They're really winning almost every statistical category, and maybe the separator is Lynchburg 12 service errors to only 3 aces. Roanoke's got a good ratio right now, 6 aces to 5 errors. So Lynchburg, basically everything other than the serving is going their way from a statistical perspective.
Great job from both teams. A really nice serve from Bryce Jackson. And that one going to be sent back, and it'll be tied up at 19. A great job coming out of the timeout, being able to get that point. We talked about it earlier. It's really, timeouts are all about icing the other team. We got an early one from Coach Ryan Turner in this set. So one still left for both squads. Tied up at 19 in set 2. Teams trying to get to that 20 mark. And going to be sent right back into Lynchburg. Michael Cummins, a great job being able to recognize that opportunity. And Roanoke up 20-19. We talked about how Roanoke had a lot of momentum early in this set. Lynchburg done a great job coming back. Costello going to try and poke that one across. And it'll be Lynchburg point as it hits that little side barrier on the net. It's tied up at 20 now. This is the best time in volleyball. It's crunch time. It's 20-20 in set number 2. Both teams are playing their hearts out right now. You want to win to start off the day. Both teams playing 2 games. Great job from Cummins again. And we've been calling his name a ton today. And he's been doing a great job. And we talk about how both teams are going to be playing 2 games. You see on the left side of the main camera, we see Bethany there in the stands, and that'll be game 2, Bethany and Roanoke. And then game 3 will be Bethany and Lynchburg. Great job from Cummins to keep that one alive. Just going to be a free ball over to Lynchburg, set by Varley. Kapitanov pokes it over. Roanoke doing a great job, a great rally. Berardo keeping that one alive, a great job. Redding just going to poke that one over. A really nice rally from both teams. And a great job from Rutkowski going cross-court, cross-net. And the margin for error on shots like that is so large, and that's just a great job, a high-risk, high-reward kind of play from our player to watch, Jackson Rutkowski.
Excellent call by you. There's the timeout from Coach Ryan Turner. Yeah, what a rally. Roanoke gets the better of that. That felt deflating for Lynchburg, so I like the timeout there from Coach Ryan Turner.
Yeah, really good job. And we are going to take a short break, but when we come back, it is almost the end of set number 2 here on LHSN.
I learned a lot of valuable lessons playing college football. I never thought about the health benefits of exercise until I actually started to talk to coaches in college. It's not only just for performance, it's for life. My coaches instilled the importance of well-being, not only building up strength, mental health, getting enough sleep, eating properly is all what it is to be healthy. I decided that I want to go into personal training and share my knowledge that I obtained in college about physical and mental well-being.
Welcome back to set number 2. Roanoke in the lead by 2, 22-20. It's been a close one in the last couple minutes. A timeout by Ryan Turner trying to slow things down for his own team. And Varley set that one up. Costello going to be able to send that one. It's going to be blocked, but it'll stay on that Roanoke side in the perfect way coming out of a timeout. We say that all the time, but timeouts are so crucial when it comes to volleyball. And it really is all about icing that kicker if you're a football fan. It's really all about that mound visit if you're a baseball fan. Roanoke, a great job. Cade Kinney called his name a couple times in this one. Keeps that 2-point lead. 23-21 Roanoke.
Yeah, he's a high riser too. Easy to find the seams from up there where he's swinging it from. Got to lock in here defensively if you're Lynchburg.
Varley set up to Redding, and a great job, great comeback. 1-point lead for Roanoke now. Berardo going to head out and sub out for Bryce Jackson.
Perfect execution there by Lynchburg. Berardo with a perfect pass. Setter Varley does not have to move, so he's got all his options available. He can set anybody, and you go to Nick Redding right there, who pretty clinical on the finish.
Kapitanov, a soft serve, and a really great block from Nick Redding. A really great job. We've called his name on defense a ton. And I'll say it again, Defensive Player of the Week a couple weeks ago. And the reason why I love saying that is because it's the first one in program history. I mean, that's something that Nick Redding will be able to hold onto his record for his entire career. A great job from Roanoke again, Cade Kinney. And it'll be set point for Roanoke, 24-23. Remember, if Lynchburg scores and it ties up at 24, you have to win by 2. So we're going to get more than 25 points if that happens, but Roanoke going to try and snuff any opportunity out. Varley going to set this one up for Redding. He's just going to poke it over, kept alive by Bryce Jackson. Another set over to Kenna, and that one going to be too far, and it'll be set Roanoke 25-23. Another close set. Kyle, it's been a lot of fun so far, and we're going to even it up at 1-1. I mean, obviously, Roanoke had a really good start, starting off the set 6-1. Lynchburg bringing it back, keeping it close the majority of the set.
You have to admire what Roanoke did there. Again, strong start after losing set 1. Then they survive a pretty furious rally from Lynchburg. So give the Maroons full credit right there. And positives for Lynchburg, well, they got back in it after being down. They took the lead there in set 2. I think Lynchburg should be playing with a lot of confidence, but it's anybody's ball game now as both teams have got a set under their belt. And where do we go from here?
Yeah, a lot of fight from both teams. We are going to head into a little bit of a break. Just a couple minutes. Don't go away. We've got a very exciting volleyball matchup so far, and then 2 more after that. What's better than 3 volleyball games in one day? We will be right back here on LHSN.
Want to have some outdoor adventures while getting a degree at the same time? At the University of Lynchburg, we have an on-campus zip line and road course. Plus, we offer adventure trips that cost less than a cup of coffee. And did I mention our beautiful scenery? We're a university for students looking for something more than just books. Welcome to your new adventure experience.
Today's a rough day. Jess and I are officially on a break. The couple canoe has broken up.
It's not.
How you feeling?
Living the dream.
Just canoeing. That's the Mexican side behind me. The U.S. is that way.
So far, we're all still alive.
I really want a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Woo! We did it! Kind of.
Yep.
Welcome back to LHSN. My name is Ethan Morotsky and Kyle Haney. We are bringing you a fantastic matchup, 1-1, equal in sets, and both of them have been very competitive. And so we're going to get ready for set number 3. And again, you talked about it earlier, Kyle, how every single win that this Lynchburg team has come in way of a sweep. So really going to have to see some resilience from both squads here.
Yeah, Lynchburg, if they're going to get a victory today, it will become their first 4 or 5 set win on the season. And there's a bunch of different factors there, so it's hard to really pinpoint anything. But it's a good Roanoke team. Roanoke maybe a little late getting the wake-up call in set number 1. Now, Lynchburg statistically, other than the service line, has really dominated most of our stats today. We'll see if anything changes in set 3 or if it's more of the same from these two squads.
Set 3 underway, kept alive by Berardo, set by Varley. Kenna going to send this one short of the back line. And Lynchburg starting off set number 3 with a bang, 1-0.
Yeah, back row banger too, coming from the middle there. Outstanding stuff from Kenna. And that's the way you want to start if you're Lynchburg. First point doesn't mean everything, obviously, but nice momentum boost.
Definitely sets the tone as Berardo keeps that alive. Sent over by Kenna. Wow. And a little bit of a misplay from Michael Cummins, and that's rare. We saw he did a great job in set number 2, keeping this Roanoke team ahead of the Hornets. A rare mistake there. Might have been a little bit of communication, but that's going to keep Varley at the line. He sends it over. Kept alive by Rutkowski, and a great job from Colin Mendoza, said his name too. Gets the Maroons on the board here in set number 3.
Yeah, Mendoza 1.14 kills per set, so he's a reliable option up there. Really found the gap in the defense nicely.
Roanoke kept alive. Varley set up to Redding, kept alive. Great job from Rutkowski, and blocked by Kapitanov. As it looked like Kapitanov thought they were going to give that to Roanoke, pleading his case, but it will be point Lynchburg.
Yeah, he and Jeremiah Costello over there on the far side. I think maybe just pointing out to the ref that there was a touch from a Maroon, just to make sure.
Always want to make sure you get the point as Costello sends it over, and there's that powerful serve. Just goes far and out of bounds. And really, those are the serving errors. You know you're up by 2, and you want to keep that momentum going. You want to keep the errors to a minimum. As Michael Cummins going to send it across court. Kept alive. Just sent over by Redding, and a really nice block from Colin Mendoza again. Ties it up at 3. You know, we talk about how you want to go on a run, you want to keep momentum, but it just looks like so far in this one, you're not going to get anything like that.
No, it does feel more back and forth, doesn't it? And that's definitely the way set 1 ended up. And Mendoza, wow, he's really taken over. Solo block. Colin Mendoza's been the star so far in set 3 for Roanoke.
Not only was that a solo block, Kyle, that was a one-handed block. A really nice job from Mendoza in the second set and to start off this third set. Michael Cummins staying at the line, sends it cross court to the Hornets. Varley with a set. Kenna, not a great set, almost blocked right back down as that one poked across court, cross net, but too far for Mason Kenna. Really nice job. This Roanoke front line is doing a fantastic job, not letting Lynchburg breathe at all.
Yeah, that was a weird one there. That was a little mid-air pinball up above the net. Good touch again, Mendoza. He's right in the middle of everything in this set 3 for Roanoke.
Really great serve from Cummings. Nick Redding. That one's gonna hit the referee. Roanoke players making sure she's all right. She is, but it will be point Maroons. Bryce Redding, there's that powerful hit. Tried to go close quarters on that far end of the court. And this is a run for Roanoke that's really good. They started off the second set like this, as Redding this time keeps it in. Point Lynchburg. Cross court for Nick Redding. Great job so far in this one. Kapitanov gonna head to the line, gonna be able to serve this one across, try and set the tone here. We've said that a couple times. Set the tone in this rally that's coming up. Varley the set to Redding again. Really great job. We've been calling his name a lot in this Lynchburg. Varley's been setting him up a ton. Only a 1-point deficit for the Hornets now.
Yeah, I think they're looking for Nick Redding a little bit more, looking to get him activated. Looks like he's jumping well, seeing it well. He's fantastic with the little mid-air adjustments depending on where the set is. So I would expect Lynchburg to keep going back to him. And how about another ace for the captain, Kapitanov. Wasn't really even serving much this season, but he's getting a chance right now, and a couple aces in this match. So keep it going, Steph. We're tied again.
Now, obviously, he doesn't put the most on those serves, but you don't need to, really. I mean, that's an example right there. And Rutkowski, a powerful swing, keeps the lead for the Maroons. And that's honestly quite the opposite of what we were just saying. You don't need the most power on serves, but when you go up close to the net, you can put as much of it with a great set like that, you can put as much power on it as you want, and that's what you're going to get from Rutkowski. As Kenna going to send this one across. Great job keeping that one alive. It touches the rafters, and it's going to be a free ball for the Hornets. Set up for Bryce Jackson. That one heads out of bounds. A great job from both squads, but a better job from Lynchburg. It went up into the rafters a little bit, and we haven't talked about it as much this matchup. It hasn't gone up there quite as much, but it is a factor that you have to take into account when you're a visiting team.
Yeah, it's not the highest ceiling that these guys play in by any means. And for Lynchburg, you get a little bit used to it because of the rafters. However, still so unpredictable.
I think I say every broadcast, we got to get a camera up there at some point to see. Because it's tough to see from our cameras down here how much the ball, jiggles around up there, and you really never know what it's going to do. There's so much metal up there that anything can really happen. A great job by Varley to keep it alive. Sets it up for Reading, but it hits that little border on the net. Would have been a great job keeping that alive. Varley had to go a long way into that far side of the court, and he actually did a pretty good job setting it too. So a great job, but point Roanoke, 2-point lead, 9-7 in favor of the Maroons. Going back to Reading again, kept alive by the Maroons. Gonna go to Kenna this time. It's blocked, kept alive by the Hornets. Back to Kenna, goes cross court. A fantastic job finding that open space. You kind of crossed up that front man in Rutkowski. A great read by Kenna. They were going to Reading a ton that rally. And you go across to the other side. A great job from Mason Kenna.
Mason Kenna got blocked. Lynchburg on the rebuild. Kenna gets it back. So you've just been blocked. Love the idea to roll one over the top on the angle there. And a really good location. That serve is wide left. So Roanoke by 2 again.
Little frustration from Kenna. There's that high serve we're talking about. I feel like every serve to us is really high, but some of these players that we've seen have gotten it almost to the rafters. Rutkowski going to send this across. It's going to go right back to Roanoke side. Pretty much a free ball. Going to be poked, kept alive by Costello. Berardo keeps it alive, but a point Roanoke blocked on Lynchburg's side. A great job. It was a short rally, but it was a fun one to watch. Roanoke takes a 3-point lead. A great job from Berardo and Costello to keep that alive, but it's going to go towards the way of Roanoke. Rutkowski serving again. That one going to go a little too far. And point Lynchburg. 2-point lead for Roanoke. So you really, when it comes to the serving, obviously you're going to have serving errors throughout the matchup, but do you think the point differentials could dictate how they go about their serves, Kyle?
Yeah, I think at some point the coach is going to say, well, that's too many errors, or if we're in a pressure situation, let's just make sure we get it in. Now, some of that, there's so many other factors in there. It'll depend on what's the other team got on the court offensively, because, if they've really got a good offensive setup as far as outside hitters and middles, maybe you just don't want to take the chance of them getting in system. So you'll tell your guys, hey, let's have an ace right here. If you miss out of bounds, we'll give them the error. There are different ways to think about that, and I think each player has a different leash as well as far as what the coach will allow. Some guys, you just got to keep throwing the fastball out there. Other people, you need to go to the changeup, be a bit more conservative.
I like the baseball comparison, Kyle. Really well said. Lynchburg still down 2. We saw before that serving error from Connor Tyson, we saw a kill from Jackson Rutkowski. He's done a good job the past couple rallies sending it home for Roanoke. That one going to be blocked and head out of bounds. Point Roanoke. 13-10 in favor of the Maroons in set number 3. Tied at 1 after 2 sets. And really this third set is nothing different from the last 2. It's a really close matchup. A lot of fight from both teams. It's really going to come down to who can stay together mentally, who can stay locked in.
Yeah, might have to win a crazy rally, and maybe who's serving is a little bit better when it's all said and done. But you see there, softer serve. Lynchburg can get in system and they get a point off of one of those rafter balls. So that's what happens when you don't serve tough. You allow the other team to really get after it. And back to the different personnel. Jeremiah Costello going to the service line now. I don't think he's ever going to back down the serve. I think he's always going to give the hard one because that's just what he does.
Yeah, really likes that velocity, and there it is. A great serve, great job to keep that one alive. It's going to be blocked, and touch the Lynchburg side of the court. Point Roanoke. 3-point lead for the Maroons. And going back to that point, I mean, the rafters are they're so tough because you look for what can change momentum if you're down in a game, and the rafters, they're kind of an exterior factor that can change momentum. Kenna gonna send this one. It's gonna be blocked straight down onto that Roanoke side. Really good job by Mason Kenna. Good job all around by both teams. We've seen a lot of great sets from Varley. A lot of great job by Berardo keeping balls alive, and a great job from Roanoke too.
Yeah, I think Varley as the setter probably underrated, undersold sometimes by us. He's really been dealing the cards nicely today.
One hits the net. It's going to go back across. Kenna tried to keep that one alive and sent it over the net, but out of bounds. Point Roanoke. They're going to keep a 3-point lead. And last set at around the first half, pretty much all of the first half, it was a 5-point lead that Lynchburg couldn't handle, and now it really looks like it's a 3-point lead, and Lynchburg can't find enough hits to get that one across. Maybe another point Roanoke, a 4-point lead now in set number 3.
The danger spot right here. Down by 4 if you're Lynchburg. Really got to lock in right here.
One hits the net, kept alive. Berardo just going to send it across and can't. Hits the top of the net, stays on their side. And another point Roanoke, and we're going to get a timeout from Coach Ryan Turner. Going to slow the game down, or hope to slow the game down. We're going to step aside about halfway through the third set. Roanoke up 17-12 here on the Lynchburg Hornets Sports Network.
My name is Alexis Fabula. I major in criminology and I double minor in psychology and criminal forensics. My favorite part about Lynchburg is the friends that I've come to have. It's helped me come out of my shell more, and it's helped me become the person I am and the student I am. I really enjoyed how small the campus was, and I also really enjoy how small the class sizes are. It made me feel like I was going to be more engaged than I would at a bigger campus. If someone was on the fence of coming to the University of Lynchburg, I would definitely love to sit down and have a conversation with them, because I'm forever grateful that I made this choice. It's definitely something that a student wouldn't regret. Out of my 4 years here, I've not had one bad experience. I've had a great 4 years, and I'm going to be very sad to go.
Welcome back to LHSN set number 3. Not as close as set number 1 and 2. Roanoke up by 5, 17-12. Gonna send this one across to the Hornets. Kenna, one looked like it might have gone out, might have gotten a tip at the net, so keep that one alive. It's gonna go back to the Hornets, set by Berardo. Redding trying to get that one onto the far end. And blocked, really great job, blocked by Bryce Jackson. Good way to come out of a timeout. 17-14 in favor of the Maroons.
Yeah, Jackson and Kenna putting the wall up right there. Fantastic. Lynchburg's been blocking well all game. They might need 1 or 2 more points in the blocking category before this set is over.
Got to go on a run, got to find a way to keep momentum. Hits the rafters, and there it is again.
Yeah, so it's both of our main talking points all day. It's tough serve, and that leads to the high pass that touches the rafters. So back to the serving tough, high velocity. It becomes so hard to keep the pass down when you contact it.
Redding sending this one across from the serving line. Rutkowski going to send it, saved by Berardo. They're going to say
net contact,
net violation, and it's going to be point Roanoke.
Really good sliding dig by Braden Berardo. Unfortunately, that's going to get wiped off because the blocking, somebody came down in the net.
Those are tough plays and small mistakes that you got to be able to reduce throughout a matchup.
Yeah, so difficult for the blockers because you're told to get as close to the net as possible without touching it. So in doing so, you press right against it, and then occasionally you do make some contact on the way down or step over the line too much.
It'll be a serving ace for Roanoke. As C.J. Kingston, one got a little close to the net. Jackson didn't really know what to do with it. Another great serve, hits the rafters, comes down quickly. And Costello just going to send this one a free ball for Roanoke, and blocked. Bryce Jackson and Mason Kenna, a dynamic duo at the front. Fantastic job. 15-19 in favor of the Maroons. Mason Kenna going to step up and send it cross court. Set number 3, both teams tied at 1 in set count. A high serve. Rutkowski blocked at the net. Going back to Rutkowski, a little bit of a softer touch across. And they're going to call it another net violation by Bryce Jackson, and he knew it. Some frustration. And we're going to get a substitute here.
They blocked Rutkowski once, and he decided to try to go over the top of the block on the second one. But again, another violation there for Lynchburg. And so, you know, between the serving errors and things like that, that's why Roanoke's got the lead, even though statistically Lynchburg winning a lot of those bigger categories, the kills and blocks and those kinds of things.
Costello sends it across, right down the middle, right down Main Street. Rutkowski can't keep it alive. And, you know, going back to what we were talking about earlier, Lynchburg, every single win that they've had has come in way of winning the first 3 sets on a sweep. So if you're Roanoke, you really got to keep that in mind, and you know that you do have that slight bit of mental advantage. As Bryce Jackson serves this one across, kept alive by Nunez. Costello blocked, but it's going to be tipped and go out of bounds on Roanoke's side. And it'll be another Lynchburg point, 20-17. That cuts the lead down to 3 in set number 3. And a timeout's going to be called by Coach Mark Rohrbach. And we are going to, well, you know, let's keep it here, Kyle. We got a lot to talk about. We've seen a lot of talent. Lynchburg in that second set went down quite a bit early, came back, and that's kind of a little bit of what happened here in set 3. We saw they were down by 3 majority. They would fight, and Roanoke would fight right back, but they kept the lead majority of 3. They're down by 3 right now. They've shown fight again, and that's really something that you have to take away if you're Coach Ryan Turner. You know your team. There's a lot of grit and determination here so far against Roanoke.
Hornets really, you have to love the passion, the energy, the intensity. They've been switched on. Some mental mistakes for sure, and a few physical ones in there. But I think Lynchburg is in a good spot. Down by 3 still. You'd rather be the team that's up 3. Roanoke won that race to 20. The Maroons are on that 6-game winning streak. They actually have won set number 1 in all of those wins. Not all sweeps, but they did win set number 1 in every one of those victories. This year on the season, Roanoke has 2 wins where they did not win the initial set. So that's a Maroon team that you know. They're 13-7 for a reason. Just because you win a set against them doesn't mean they're going to go away either. So both teams really getting after it here. You got to like it. It's early in the day. I mean, it's 1:15. It's not super early. But if you're used to playing games at 7 p.m., maybe it's a slight adjustment for the guys.
Like you said, this is a good season for Roanoke, because that one's going to be an ace for Jackson. This is Roanoke's 3rd season as a program, and they've gotten better every single year. So Coach Rohrbach doing something right down the street in Roanoke. Lead down to 2 now. Great job coming out of a timeout for the Hornets. Is that one going to be too far? Really close play. Jackson thought he caught the line there, but it's going to go point Roanoke 21-18. They did catch that 20 mark before that timeout. And that's really, well, I say it's a mental game. You want to get to 20 quick, but that's really just for us.
Well, the coaches talk about that race to 20 a lot. First team getting to 20 oftentimes wins.
Good serve and a nice job from Varley, the setter. a great job recognizing where the defense was, finding that open area. We see a smile on Coach Ryan Turner's face, still coaching his team up after getting points.
Yeah, really good from Varley. He does not attack much. Looks like that's termination number 18 on the season for him. That was perfect, though. Send it over on 2.
They're going to call a Lynchburg point, a block 2 at the net. We've got some communication now, so as of right now, it is point Lynchburg, but some communication from the referees. It was a little bit of a scuffle at the top of the net. They're going to call it point Roanoke now. They say it came off of Costello last.
Yeah, both the captains are going to go have a word with the official on the chair. Miller Varley, the setter, is the speaking captain, and they're supposed to be the only ones that talk to the refs, even though, you know, in the modern game, Ethan, everybody can, you know, kind of say something. The ref's not going to throw you out for that. But the official rule is supposed to be one player and one player only. You can actually have the same thing in basketball. You're supposed to have one speaking captain. But, again, we know that everybody will have a running dialogue with the officials.
Everybody's got something to say. You want to know what's going on with your team. Varley talking with Cardoza after that point as Ryan Turner was getting some information from the line judge on the far end of the screen. But point Roanoke, 22-19 in favor of the Maroons. Varley going to set this one for Redding. Blocked away. Going to stay on Lynchburg's side, but head out of bounds. And Hornets are fighting 22-20, down by 2. It is crunch time. You got to get something going, and you got to get it going fast. As Mason Kenna going to step back in for Wyatt Nunez.
Yeah, they snuck Wyatt in there. He hasn't played a whole lot, but a big spot to bring him there in the third set. Like that coaching from Ryan Turner.
Great serve from Costello, and like you said, he doesn't shy away from the velocity. Varley going to set up Redding, blocked straight down onto that Lynchburg side. Maroons up 23-20. 2 points away from taking set number 2 as Michael Cummins heads to the line. Tied 1-1 in sets. Good serve. Kenna keeps that one alive. It's right back to Kenna as he sends it too far into that corner. And now it is set point Roanoke. And now it's really crunch time. Your back's up against the wall if you're the Hornets.
Yeah, Cummins has been nice today at the line and up front.
Great serve, kept alive. Redding going to send it across, tipped up. Cummins, great job keeping that one alive. Gerardo can't get a hand on that, or he gets a piece of it. And it'll be point Roanoke and set Roanoke. 25-20 is the final score of set number 3. Another close one. Roanoke just kind of ran away with it at the end there. We've seen a lot of positives and a lot of negatives for both teams today. Kyle, 3 sets have passed. Roanoke up 2-1. Well, what's your take going into set number 4 now?
Well, looking at the stats there in set 3, it actually reversed. We talked about Lynchburg had the better numbers. In set 3, Roanoke 11 terminations to only 3 errors. They swung it at 348. Lynchburg was down to 143. 8 attacking errors in the set for Lynchburg. 8 errors. So Lynchburg actually cleaned up and was serving better. Only 2 service errors, but more attacking errors that set for Lynchburg. So they'll need to get back to having a more efficient offense. Make sure you do the right things offensively. I think setting from Varley's still been good, but perhaps Roanoke has adjusted the blocking slightly, so got a lot locked back in there, and maybe we'll see Lynchburg serving pick up a bit more. Maybe they'll go back to some of those harder, more aggressive serves.
Got to keep the mistakes to a minimum. 2-1 in set numbers in favor of the Roanoke Maroons. Set number 4 is commencing soon when we get back here on LHSN. set number 4 ready to commence. 2-1 in favor of the Maroons. Set number 1 went the way of the Hornets. They had a hot start. Maroons have taken the 2 sets immediately after that. They've been close the entire way through. As set number 4, Berardo giving high fives to his whole team, getting the energy up.
6 wins in a row for Roanoke, and they are 13-7 on the season. I think you're seeing some reasons why they really, after maybe a quote-unquote slow start for the Maroons, played much better in sets 2 and 3. Not that they played bad in set 1, but noticeable improvement. And for Lynchburg, definitely feels like they have their back to the wall here in set 4. Got to win it to force a 5th and decisive 5-set affair.
You're definitely right. We see a lot of being able to adjust to your opponent from the Roanoke side. We see a little bit of it from Lynchburg. Obviously, they've been mainly fighting with their backs up against the wall. They've been down by 3. They were down 3 points majority of set number 3, and then we talked about in set number 2 how it was about 4, 5, or 6 points. So we're gonna maybe see a switch up from the Hornets squad. Great job from Costello to keep that one alive. And he's gonna go right back to it, poke it over, give a free ball for Roanoke. And Berardo, a miss hit, can't keep that one alive. Roanoke takes the lead 2-1 to start off set 4. So there are some positives for this young Lynchburg team. Obviously, they've got 8 wins so far. A young squad, a lot to learn from each other, and a great job from Costello. Ties it up at 2.
Yeah, Jeremiah Costello rising high there. Great location. He may have actually split the block there, which is difficult to do. I wonder if Jeremiah Costello will get more active in the offense here in set 4.
There's that powerful serve. Looked like he let up a little bit, and a great job. Nick Redding gets that block, and they're going to call it a net violation, possibly. 2-point Roanoke.
Yeah, 2 or 3 of those in set 3 that went against Lynchburg. So that's, again, some things that I hate to call it an unforced error because it's just part of the game. You want to get close to that net, but maybe just need to be a little bit cleaner up front if you're Lynchburg. Dot those I's and cross those T's. Do everything right here in set 4.
Well, we saw Coach Ryan Turner have a little communication with the referee, trying to see what happens, and a nice block from Andre Gates for the Roanoke side, point Roanoke. We saw Coach Ryan Turner have a little talk with the sideline judge on the far end of the court. He's smiling up. Looks like the referee made the right call. 4-2 in favor of the Maroons in set 4. A set up, tried to save that one as Berardo gets a hand on it, but goes too far. And another run here for the Maroons, up by 3 to start off set number 4.
Yeah, Roanoke offensively, gosh, they're really figuring it out. Getting in system, dividing the workload, attacking from different areas. Speaking of attacking, Nick Redding, really nice slam there to get Lynchburg back within 2.
Yeah, great job from Redding. We've called his name a ton so far, and it seemed like in that 3rd set they were looking at him a majority of the time. When you got a player like that stepping up, it allows some of your other players to go under the radar. We didn't see much of Bryce Jackson in that set 3. We know he's there. We know he's a talented player. A little bit of a double hit between Costello and Kapitanov. And Kapitanov tried to dive and save that one. We saw Mason Kenna ran from cross court to try and keep that one alive and went into that stairwell in that back left corner of Turner Gymnasium. So the effort was there on that play, just a little miscommunication to start it from Costello and Kapitanov. Farley gonna set this one up for Kenna. Tries to poke that one over and too short. Hits the net. And it'll be point Roanoke again. And Kyle, these are these minor mistakes that Roanoke's going to capitalize on from a young squad in the Hornets.
Yeah, you take advantage of everything your opponent gives you, and I think you're right. Roanoke, when they get some of these mistakes, they really do a nice job of keeping their foot on the gas. There's Nick Redding again. Big bomber, left-handed swinger. Lynchburg needed that, back within 3.
Kingston can't get a good touch on that as Reading gonna head to the service line. Little spin on that serve. You see that toss up, a little bit of rotation, maybe on that serve, get a little movement and trip up the defense in Roanoke, but hits it into the net. Another serving error for this Lynchburg squad as Rutkowski gonna send this one over. Our player to watch, he did a really great job in that last set. Didn't call his name too much in the first 2, but kept alive from Lynchburg. Reading and Bryce Jackson kind of had a little bit of a couple passes to each other, but blocked on that Lynchburg side. Point Roanoke, 9-4, 5-point lead for the Maroons.
Yeah, Roanoke, again, they seem to be winning more of those scramble plays, those pinball plays, those plays that are not quite like you draw up, but they, I think, are getting the better of those. Wow, how about that? Nick Redding from deep pushed that one across.
Really great job from Berardo and Varley to keep that alive, and Reading had the opportunity and a lot of power on that swing, blocked right down onto that Roanoke side. Point Lynchburg. Is Kenna going to be at the line? High toss up and a great serve. Jackson tried to send that one back into that Maroons defense, kept alive again by Kingston. A free ball over to the Hornets side, a set from Varley coming up. And Bryce Jackson sends it too far to that back left corner. That far end, tried to go cross court. Really good rally, probably the better rally that we've seen in this 4th set. We've seen a lot of good ones in total in this entire matchup.
You can tell Roanoke wants this, just on their reaction on that play right there, that sequence. They are really putting a lot in emotionally. They're working hard for the points.
A lot of fight from this Roanoke team, up by 5 so far in this one. Sent right back by Gabe Fabro. Great job recognizing. And that'll be a timeout for Coach Ryan Turner. An early timeout, 11-5 in favor of the Maroons. They're up 2-1 over the Hornets in set count, and we will take a short break and get the rest of set 4 action ready for you on LHSN.
Tim Slusser from the Outdoor Leadership Program gave a presentation at a Teaching and Learning Resources Conference here about getting his program more involved on the academic side of campus. I mentioned computers and mapping, and he mentioned caving, and eventually we came up with the idea of mapping caves.
So the week before, we were able to learn how to use the instruments kind of like on a flat surface and just kind of get a hang of how they work. But it was really amazing how once we got in the cave, it was a completely different experience using them.
It was unique. It got most of us out of our comfort zone, kind of gave us a new experience, a new taste of something new. But I think the most difficult parts were getting the lighting right. You had to read the instruments with the headlamps while keeping your eye pointed on the plot point.
This allowed them to actually literally get their hands dirty, collecting data, conducting measurements, and putting all that together in the form of a map, and doing it in a place that's never been mapped before.
Welcome back to Wayne Prophet Court. Ethan Morotsky and Kyle Haney having the privilege of bringing you set number 4 of this NCAA ODAC men's volleyball matchup. Farley with a set right to Bryce Jackson, a little too high. Bryce couldn't get the best of touches on it, sends it back though. And it'll be point Lynchburg. Good way coming out of the timeout. We say that every time that there's been a timeout, but we can't stress how important points after timeouts are for any team, whether you're the team that called the timeout or whether you're the team that got the timeout called on.
Yeah, both teams get to talk it over during the timeout, but you're right, it is important, and it's one of those things that's trackable, traceable, those after timeout results. Not a clean contact there from Roanoke, so Lynchburg's going to get the point. Looks like Bryce Jackson's starting to really power up and get activated again for Lynchburg. He's got a good serve as well. He can be a difference maker anywhere on the court, including at the line here.
Getting that serve to go, we saw it. He had a really nice serve there on that point. We'll see if he can replicate that, a high toss-up. And there it is again. There's the replication. Kept alive by Redding. Costello going to be the one to send this across towards the Maroons. Kept alive again by Redding. We see Varley just tried to tip that one over. That's a tough one. Obviously that dig by Varley going towards the net, you're not too sure at first if it's going to go over to that Roanoke side, because if it does, you got to prepare for that kill that they have the opportunity of, the easy ground and pound. But you're also not sure if it's going to be short, so I think that was the good read by Varley. Just couldn't get it over onto that Roanoke side. There he is. Speak of the devil, Varley, great job being able to send that one. We saw that a couple sets ago. And obviously the setter not going to be your main guy that's going to get a ton of kills, but that's that recognition of where the team, where the defense is for the Maroons, and being able to get a pretty much a freebie as Cade Kinney sends that one across, gets a touch from Lynchburg and right into the coaching staff of Lynchburg, and it's going to be point Roanoke. 5-point lead, 13-8 in set number 4. As Cummins going to send this one across. Berardo, Varley with a set. Little tip over by Redding. And that one, they're going to plead that it touched that little border on the net, and the referee says that it did. Point Lynchburg.
Yeah, a couple balls today have hit the antenna. It seems like all of them have gone against Roanoke for one reason or another, but Lynchburg, a chance to build something, a chance to get some traction here, and they need it, down 2-1 and down 4 in set number 4.
Yeah, like you said, they need it about halfway through this set, and just an amazing job by Rutkowski. And that's exactly why he's that player to watch for Roanoke, and we talked about it earlier. He reached that 600 career kill mark last night in that sweep victory that Roanoke had.
That was the hardest one we've seen today. That's
yeah,
basically undefendable.
Definitely had some velocity. A great job from Roanoke. Mendoza kept that one alive, but can't get on the end of that one. And point Lynchburg. So we've seen some fight from this Hornets, this young Hornets squad. Just need a little bit more momentum as Coach Cardoza stepping up, helping out that front line, giving some coaching advice. Coach Cardoza, again, that head coach of the women's team.
Ace? No, not an ace. Coach Ryan Turner's just as confused as I am. One ref called it in, one of the line judges said in.
Yeah, we're getting pleading from both teams. Turner trying to maybe get an explanation or give the referee an explanation. It looked like it might have caught that corner, but those are close ones. You never really know. Obviously, there's no challenges in Division III volleyball. So it'll be point Roanoke in the end. 15-10, a 5-point lead for the Maroons.
You got to think it's a 2-point swing, though, because that was an ace if it's in. So instead of 14-11, it's now 15-10.
Yep. So tough call. You got to be able to forget that one if you're the Hornets, as that point goes in favor of Roanoke. 16-10. But like you said, yeah, that's a 2-point swing, because instead of a 5-point deficit that you have, that's a 3-point deficit. It changes the game and what's going on. As Jackson tried to go underneath the net and get on the end of that one. And it'll be another timeout for Coach Ryan Turner, his second and last of set number 4. Roanoke up by 6 here in set number 4. They're up 2-1 in set count. So 16-10 in favor of Roanoke here on LHSN.
Think a private education is too expensive? Think again. At the University of Lynchburg, you can get a personalized education for the cost of a state school. If you're commuting and you get our top scholarships, you could pay much less. And you get all that without the hassle of giant lecture halls. Our faculty know your name here and do more than just teach. You might even do research together and plan out your next career moves.
Welcome back to LHSN, 17-10 in set number 4. Roanoke with a 7-point lead. Both timeouts have been called by Coach Ryan Turner. You gotta find some momentum and you gotta find it quickly, as Roanoke almost at that 20-point mark in set number 4. They're up 2-1. So if they win this, and point by Nick Redding, called his name a ton. He's been a fantastic player on this Hornets side.
His work rate is outstanding. He's 3rd in the conference in points. He's 3rd in kills per set. And you have to keep feeding a guy like that, especially when he appears to be locked in. Got to keep going to him here. Oh, great touch there on the setter dump.
Really good job by Gabe Fabro. And there it is. He kind of gave Varley a little taste of his own medicine. We've seen that play a couple times from the number 9 Varley on this Hornet side.
Yep, you have to do that some as a setter to make sure that block is not vacating too early. Keep the defense honest. Really great way to score.
Kind of keeps the defense on their toes. Obviously, you look for that 3-pass play, but when you send it over in placement, place it right into no man's land where nobody has any chance of getting to it. It's a great job. And we're going to get Drew Fetzko coming in for the Hornets in place of Costello.
Yeah, only the 7th set he has played in this season. So again, Coach Turner going to the bench, looking for some answers, giving some guys opportunity.
One too far from Nick Redding. Excuse me, Fetzko came in for Kenna, not Costello. So they're going to, I think they called that point
touch.
Lynchburg.
Yeah, there was a tip on the block. And so, yeah, both coaches have had something to say to the officials in this one, but Lynchburg needs that. And again, that's if it goes against you, it's a 2-point swing. It's a 20-11 ball game, but right now our score, which I believe is correct, is 19-12. Lynchburg within 7. I mean, you still have to be almost perfect right here. You got to win 13 of the next 19 points if you're Lynchburg, basically.
If you're Fetzko, you want your defense to keep you at the line, and that's not going to be the case, as that point is going to go Roanoke's way. We're going to see Wyatt Nunez step back in for Fetzko. Fetzko, a quick rotation. Haven't seen him much this season. Getting a couple serves in this one. 20-12. 8-point lead for Roanoke. It's going to be set by Varley. Bryce Jackson sends that one across, but a really great block from Roanoke. Colin Mendoza again. We've really called his name the most in this one. He's done a great job for the Maroons. He's really stepped up and kept Roanoke ahead.
Yeah, he's been great at the net. Really seems to be a specialist up there. Not a 6-rotation guy, but what he does really well. And Roanoke's now 3 away. It's all Maroons right now.
Yeah, you said it, all Maroons. It's 10-point lead, 22-12. You don't have any timeouts to be able to freeze the game up a little bit. Remember, this is only the first matchup of volleyball, as Costello gonna have to head back, send that one into the rafters over to the Maroon side of Freebie, as Rutkowski, a high flyer, sends that one across. Redding gonna send that one way too far. Another point for Roanoke. 2 more points for set number 4. Again, this isn't the first, this is the first matchup, but this isn't the only matchup that we're gonna have here on Wayne Prophet Court. This is just game 1 of 3. The second game right after this will be Roanoke versus Bethany. And then game 3 will be Lynchburg versus Bethany. So Hornets going to have some time to rest before their next matchup. Roanoke, unfortunately, is not the case, as it'll be set point as Bryce Jackson can't keep that one on Roanoke's end of the court. But you're going to have a little time to rest if you're the Hornets, a little time to recuperate. And if you're Roanoke, it's the complete opposite. They played last night. You played game 1 here in Turner Gymnasium and game 2, so might see a little bit of fatigue from the Maroons side.
Yeah, it's going to be 3 matches in less than 12 hours for Roanoke, so they'll be getting tested physically. They're a team that you mentioned that has a deep bench. They'll have some options to go to there against Bethany. All right, let's see if Lynchburg can have a little stranger things have happened moment here as they got to rip off a bunch in a row. 11 in a row to tie it.
Yeah, down by 11, a really great serve from Jackson. Costello going to keep that one alive. Kapitanov can't keep it. And it'll be point Roanoke and set Roanoke. So Roanoke will take the win here in game 1, 3-1 in set count. And again, Lynchburg taking set 1 and just kind of falling behind. Roanoke coming back, adjusting really well to the Hornets game plan. So Kyle, 3-1 in favor of the Maroons. We saw fight from both teams, and again, adjustments from that Roanoke side. So what do you think, other than the fatigue, what do you think are going to be some factors in this Bethany game in game number 2?
Well, I think Roanoke, yeah, I think they got to make sure they stay sharp, because sometimes you don't even feel the fatigue. Sometimes you think you're 100%, but the jump is maybe an inch shorter. The serves are a little bit shorter. So you have to be ready to adjust to that. You have to be ready to go to that bench a little bit more if you're the coach and you see some guys maybe don't quite have the same lift, the same bounce. And then the mental fatigue too. So Roanoke will have to stay sharp. They just pick up a big win against Lynchburg there. Maroons now move to 15-7 on the season. Is that right? 15-7 on the year, 5-1 in the Old Dominion Athletic Conference. Congratulations to the Roanoke Maroons. Lynchburg now 8-9, 2-5 in ODAC play. So not exactly what Lynchburg wants. Some growing pains there, and the Hornets will have a chance to take some frustration out on the Bison from Bethany College a little bit later.
Well, sets 1 through 3 very close between the two teams, and Roanoke in set 4 just kind of ran away with it. They did exactly what reminds me of Lynchburg in that first set against Randolph. They took off and they never looked back. So it will go and be a win for Roanoke, 4-1. Well, don't go anywhere. This is, again, game 1 of 3. But we want to thank you for watching game 1 with us. Again, Roanoke winning 3-1. Game 2 coming up right after this. My name is Ethan Morotsky. He's Kyle Haney. Thank you so much for everybody in the booth. We got Jonathan Faust, an amazing director, and star basketball player Kevin Nestor on camera. Pretty much an all-student broadcast, except for you, Kyle.
Yeah.
You're not really a student.
I'm the old man.
Yeah, not too old.
No.
But thank you so much for watching here on LHSN. Again, don't go anywhere. Game 2 coming right up between Roanoke and Bethany here on LHSN.